The Tomorrow War and America the Motion Picture both debut as trailers for both Don't Breathe 2 and The Many Saints of Newark hit the internet. I'm Darius Delsoin.
And I'm Joe Acierno. This is Cinema Unchained. Alright folks, we got a great 22nd episode for all of you. Hope you all had a wonderful Independence Day weekend. Now, before we get into our thoughts on the newly released trailer for The Many Saints of Newark, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications whether you're on Apple Podcasts, Pandora, YouTube, and so much more. And follow our social media pages that are listed in the description. Now, before we get into our review of America the Motion Picture, the prequel to the iconic TV show The Sopranos, called The Many Saints of Newark, just released its trailer this past week, and it follows, it's like I said, it's basically a prequel of like the iconic TV show, and it's following the younger years of New Jersey mobster Tony Soprano. Now, Darius, what did you think of this? Because like I only saw like the first season or so of The Sopranos, and I finished watching the first season, and I'm like, I want to watch something funny tonight. And I did that, and I never got back into The Sopranos, but I kind of regret not doing so. So what do you think of this trailer? Because I know you never really watched The Sopranos either.
Yeah, like I've heard of The Sopranos, but never watched it. I think it looks good. It looks solid. Just, it's not my cup of tea. I mean, we'll see. I think it's going to be really good. I think it looks great. The acting seems spot on. It looks good. It looks really interesting. It looks good. Is this something I would see in theaters? Most likely not. Maybe on streaming service or whatever. But it looks interesting enough to the point where it's like, okay, it looks good. Hope fans of Sopranos and everything enjoyed this one. So that's pretty much where my head is at with this trailer and the movie. It's not something I'm not really into mobster game movies per se. Let someone makes me watch one, I'll watch it just for the heck of it because I'm either with the person, whatever it may be. But as far as me as an individual, if I'm going through, let's say, a streaming service or I'm at the theater and I pick a movie, Many Saints of Newark will probably be very low on the list. But again, looks interesting. I hope people who are into The Sopranos enjoy this movie when it comes out. And yeah, that's pretty much my thoughts.
It's funny because I finished watching this trailer, and again, I don't know how much I've mentioned it on this show in particular, Darius. I know for a fact I mentioned it to you. I love mobster movies. The crime genre is easily among my favorite film genres ever. So it's kind of shocking that I never really finished watching The Sopranos, and this trailer made me realize that I need to get on that because I think this looks terrific. And even just from the outside perspective of someone who hasn't finished the show, upon doing my own research, there's a lot of pedigree behind this movie that actually looks really impressive. You have David Chase, who's the original creator of The Sopranos. He's co-writing the script. You have Alan Taylor, who's an Emmy Award-winning director, who's worked on the Sopranos, but he's also directed episodes of Mad Men, Game of Thrones, and he's won Emmys for doing one of those. So you have that pedigree. And then in front of the camera, you have a really sad cast. You got John Bernthal, Vera Farmiga, Leslie Odom Jr., who's just fresh off of an Oscar nomination for One Night in Miami, Alessandro Nivola. Remember that movie, The Art of Self-Defense, that came out a couple years ago?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. He was the main villain from that movie, and he's in this. You have Corey Stoll. You have Ray Liotta, Henry Hill. And then on top of it all, the thing that's probably the most unique about all this, that really stands out the most, James Gandolfini, who played Tony Soprano, he died, I want to say about a decade ago. I think it was because of a heart attack. His son, Michael, is playing the young Tony Soprano, which I think is really cool. And it's funny enough because they do kind of look alike if you look at pictures of them.
They do. So I think that's great. It kind of shows just how much the people behind, the writing and directing and everything, actually how much they care about The Sopranos and willing to go the extra mile to actually be like, hey, we can't get, let's say the original guy, let's actually get his son to make it feel as if, hey, this is all connected and, you're just as important in that sort of thing. And I think that was a great move to actually go for the son, to play him, so that's a very nice, touching thing to do from a development point of view and producing the show. And so, like I said, it looks interesting. It looks good. Cinematography looks great. I hope it does well. I really do.
The setting definitely intrigues me too. Again, Newark in the 60s. So I want to see exactly what they do as far as that particular setting. Again, maybe they did more so in the show, and I'm just not, again, like, I didn't watch the entire series. So, like, maybe I don't know, but I do want to see exactly what they go
Okay.
as far as this. So, I believe this is slated to come out in September. And, we'll see what happens. I know I have about, what's the clock? I have about 2 months to finish the 7-season show. So, we'll see what happens. But again, for all you guys that are listening, you got to have, if you actually checked out this trailer, and I think you should, you got to have some amount of thoughts on the Many Saints of Newark trailer. Again, and another question too, like, did you ever watch The Sopranos? Like, if you have, like, are you pumped for this particular prequel? Again, you gotta, if you have comments, which I'm sure you do, leave them wherever, whether it's in the comment section on YouTube, social media pages, wherever you can. So now, moving forward, before we talk about our other trailer for today, Don't Breathe 2, America the Motion Picture came out on Netflix this past Wednesday on June 30th. And it's basically a satirical, revisionist, extremely revisionist, and animated take on the American Revolution. It stars Channing Tatum, Olivia Munn, Bobby Moynihan, Jason Mantzoukas, I'm butchering his last name, and Andy Samberg. And this is also from the guys who gave us Archer, Into the Spider-Verse, The Expendables, and Magic Mike. And now that I really think about all this entire movie, like, do you ever have, like, those kids, like, in school, like, in your class, that were really trying too hard to get attention? That's exactly how this movie feels to me. So, Darius, I don't know, like, how many thoughts that you have on this movie, but
I mean,
what'd you think of this?
I had a lot of fun with it. I had more fun than I thought. I knew this was going to be ridiculous on every level, especially with the satire comedy. I do feel as if the comedy relied too much, a bit on certain stereotypes. I do think, like, this is just a ridiculous movie. Like, you really have to turn off your brain for this type of movie because it doesn't make any sense at all. And, just, again, to me, it was just fun. I mean, seeing George Washington with 2 chainsaws on his arm is ridiculous, but cool at the same time. They definitely, made certain characters definitely more different. But again, this is where I think it also, struggled because the comedy, I think, was a bit too reliant. It was all over the place, really, too. And the action was almost non-stop. And when they do try to do the drama elements, they just quickly brush it off with more comedy. And so, again, for what this movie was supposed to be, I think it was decent. Again, I had a fun time with it. I was laughing almost all the way through. And it's not really I was laughing with the jokes, but also just laughing at the movie because of how stupid and ridiculous this movie truly is. But the entertainment value is definitely there for me, so.
Yeah, man. I wish I was on the same page as you, but, like, I just felt like this movie tried so hard to be funny, but it just, for whatever reason, just didn't tickle my funny bone. I just felt like, the comedic aspect of this film, just fell flat a lot of the times. It just felt like, it felt very forced and over the top. I felt like, like certain commentaries that they had was just like, it just felt like kind of cringy, It just felt like very forced.
I mean, that's what I expected, honestly. Like, this felt like that type of movie, so, at least to me.
But even then, like, even when it comes to, like, commentary on certain things having to do with America or whatnot, I'm not saying that, you definitely can't do that. I just feel like this movie didn't do it well. Like, I watched this movie, then, like, the day after I watched, I don't know if you ever saw it, Team America World Police. That movie is hilarious. And I feel like when that movie was a lot more clever in its commentary while being so intentionally bad in so many ways. Like, there's a part in Team America World Police where you could see, like, so many points throughout that movie. Like, it's like, like one of those, like, marionette puppets or whatever. Like, it's like that kind of, I don't even know if you call it animation, whatever you want to call it. That sort of art form. That's the art form that Team America is using for itself, and it's making fun of it along the way. Because there's this one, quote, action, like, martial arts scene in there. And it's just the puppets, like, they're supposed to be fighting whatnot. You'd expect, like, in a regular scene, like, fists being thrown or whatnot. And it's just like the puppets just, like, bumping up against each other. It's hilarious. Like, they're doing that just so intentionally. And there are just so many lines in Team America World Police that are just, like, so bad. That was intentional. Again, it's making fun of just, like, certain, like, over-the-top, like, sappy, dramatic action movies. But Yeah, and then like it's still like having like some really clever commentary as far as like really American foreign policy and stuff like that. And like I just look at Team America World Police and I look at America the Motion Picture, and I just feel like America the Motion Picture, especially with its comedy, especially with its commentary, it just really frails in comparison to like an American satire like Team America. And going back to America the Motion Picture, like again, the animation I thought was okay. The voice performances, like I'm not really gonna remember any of them, and I'm not gonna lie, like I was disappointed that Phil Lord and Christopher Miller produced something this bad. But at the end of the day, you can't really win them all, right?
Yeah, I mean, like it's weird because it's like this movie, most of the time for me, when it came to the comedy aspects, it was more like I'm laughing at the movie, but at the same time, I was enjoying doing that at the same time. This movie is a weird blend of a mixture of bad, but yet entertaining, at least for me, to a certain level. And you were mentioning about comedy and another movie that was clever. Yeah, again, I think the really big flaw of this movie for me, despite writing, all the stuff, but as far as from a comedy perspective, it's just that it relied too much on certain stereotypes that were kind of just felt bland, and at the same time, even as I'm watching the movie, there's occasions where I'm just like I feel like I'm staring at a blank, like image, or a blank canvas and nothing's there, like, and everything is just going by. That's what this movie felt like, and a part of me, for me personally, is like I was kind of fine with that, and at the same time, I wasn't trying to take this movie seriously. I wasn't trying to be like, oh, this comedy or this joke really landed well. I was just like, if I can see George Washington do some dope stuff, cool. I mean, and they already sold me with 2 chainsaws on his arms, and I'm like, that's pretty badass. So, I mean...
And, like, here's the thing, like, that's the attitude that I went into watching this movie with. But at the end of the day, like, it was just... Instead of, at least for me personally, instead of being something like fun and ridiculous, it was just annoying. It was just really, really annoying. And this is one of those movies that I'm like, I'm happy I didn't see this in the theater, but at the same time, this movie was about an hour and a half, and it felt like about an hour and a half too long.
Really? So, again, it was an hour and a half? Wow, it felt like 45 minutes or 30.
I envy you.
It felt short. Like this movie felt shorter than it was because everything moved so fast. And again, for this movie, I was like, it was ridiculous on all levels. Like I'm definitely going to say, like, to me at least, if I'm thinking critically and all from that perspective, this is a pretty bad movie. It's pretty atrocious.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's like I had too much fun. I had too much fun with this.
Yeah. But even then, too, like, there are a lot of times where, like, you can still be entertained by something, and that's not, like, a cinematic masterpiece, but it's still fine. Like, as a movie, it's still okay, it still works, but, like, even then, like, for me personally, it didn't work on either of those levels.
I mean, I think this also kind of goes to show just how the entertainment film and TV industries have kind of shifted to more of, they're treating, I guess, film more of a business and trying to get as much money entertaining compared to something that's more artistic and character driven or character philosophical debates and everything. You kind of see this transition, and not just transition, but you see this change in the industry to the point where, and we've touched upon this before, franchise, sequel, reboots, all that type of stuff, because to them, or at least I guess into a certain perspective, it's a quicker way to get money compared to trying to create an emotional, original, gravitating piece that a lot of people can connect with on a universal level, such as loss or grief and amongst those lines. So I think this movie, to a certain extent, and even other films, we see it day to day, just shows the drastic change in, I guess, people's interests. And I guess you can also see sort of almost a divide of what people actually want and what the industry wants. And how sometimes it's very different and it fluctuates and it doesn't really work that well. And so, I mean, like I said, had fun, but at the same time I was laughing at the movie more than with the movie. So.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. I remember recently, I think this was after we stopped recording, we talked about movies so far in 2021 that could contend for worst movies of the year, and I immediately gave a shout out to Space Sweepers, and I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, there aren't a lot of movies that are going to be able to come close, and I'm going to be honest, between this one and Fast and Furious 9, there's some competition. I'll leave you with that. Yeah. Oh yeah. But I'm happy you enjoyed the movie. I'll say that. Yeah. Like, whenever I say that, like, oh, I did enjoy a movie when someone else did, like, I'm not like trying to like rub it in their face or jam it down their throat. Like, I'm honestly kind of jealous of them a lot of times.
Again, for me, I came into the perspective of like, this is going to be a pretty bad movie, but hopefully I'm having fun. And I had fun because of so many Star Wars references, which is something I never thought was going to be in this, but I had fun with that. So.
But, yeah. So, now, again, for all you guys, what did you think of America the Motion Picture? Leave your thoughts wherever you can. And now, before we give our thoughts on the trailer for Don't Breathe 2, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications, whether you're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, Podchaser, and more. And follow our social media pages that are listed in the description. All right. The trailer for Don't Breathe 2 came out this past week. This is basically the sequel to the 2016 film where the scary guy from the first movie has his past come back to haunt him. And I'm going to be honest, upon watching this trailer, I did like the twist of him being more of like the good guy protector. Like, this kind of reminds me of the shift in the Terminator from Terminator 1 to Terminator 2. But what did you think of the trailer for Don't Breathe 2?
Yeah, I mean, personally, I actually liked the first Don't Breathe. I liked it more than I thought it would. It kept me on the edge of my seat and everything. I think Stephen Lang is just a great actor, especially in this role. And so I'm really intrigued, and I'm excited for this. The thing is, I didn't expect, because when I heard Don't Breathe 2, I was like, oh, this is fake. This is gonna be a fan trailer, but no, it was legit, and I was like, and as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh, I never thought I wanted a sequel, and I'm happy it's here, actually. It's such a weird thing, because I didn't expect Don't Breathe to really have a sequel, but upon watching this, I'm happy there is one to see more about this character, his past, and so I'm actually pretty excited and intrigued, and I have a feeling the little girl's she's gonna do great in this one too. I'm excited for this. I really am.
It's funny that you say that you didn't expect a sequel for Don't Breathe, and I'm gonna be honest, I didn't expect it either. And again, Don't Breathe was definitely a movie that I enjoyed a lot more than I thought I was going to. But maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me being like a little nitpicky. Like, if a sequel comes out like however many years after the one that came before, like, I don't know why I always usually get a little bit skeptical. Like, this movie, like the first Don't Breathe came out in 2016. We're in 2021, right? So I don't know. That 5-year difference does feel a little weird. Like, if a second movie came out in 2018 or 19, like a 2 or 3 year difference, I'd feel a little bit more confident. But again, maybe that's just me being a bit nitpicky. And is it just me, or do you feel like the trailer showed us a bit too much?
It's odd, because I don't think it necessarily, at least to me, to a certain degree, it felt like they showed a lot of stuff, but at a quick pace, and they didn't really take their time. And I think they showed a lot of really more action pieces and less character pieces, and I think a part of me is hoping that some character pieces actually are more surprising than the action set pieces for some reason. That's just how I'm thinking right now. I'm hoping, because if it's on an action level, if they showed a lot of action, then yes, I think they definitely showed maybe more than they should have. Especially since this trailer just kind of came out of nowhere. I expected it maybe to be more of a teaser, and then a more official trailer, maybe later, closer to its release. But I don't know. I'm not really sure if it showed too much, but I think it definitely it felt like it was trying to trick someone's mind into thinking that like there's more to this than we think, even though they showed a lot. So it's going to be so I'm not really sure on that. I'm a bit mixed on that aspect if it showed too much. I'm just sold on this. I can't wait to see this.
Yeah, oh no, I will more than likely end up seeing this for sure. Just like I think it was just like one of the set pieces towards the end of the trailer that I'm like, okay, this looks cool, but I don't want to know this now. Like that's something
Okay.
I wish I knew,
Yeah.
like when I sit down to watch the actual movie itself. But again, maybe that's just me. Like overall, like I'm definitely sold on seeing this because again, I did like the original, and this one looks well done enough. So we'll see what happens. Do you know when this is supposed to come out by any chance? When is it, like August or something like that?
I don't remember exactly, to be honest. I know it's supposed to be this year. They said, August 13th, supposedly this year.
August 13th.
Oh, so that's soon. That's in a month.
Well,
oh wow.
Yeah, well, I'm on vacation then, so I don't know. I might not be seeing this right away, but yeah. So again, for all you guys out there, what do you think of the trailer for Don't Breathe 2? Leave your comments, your thoughts, wherever it is that you can. And now, to cap off the show, we're going to review The Tomorrow War. And the film follows a biology teacher who is drafted to fight a war against carnivorous aliens decades into the future. This movie stars Chris Pratt and J.K. Simmons. And Darius, what did you think of this movie?
So, as the sci-fi fan in me, I knew I was going to have fun. I knew to a certain degree I was going to enjoy this movie. I did. I liked it more than the Infinite movie that came before, that I watched before. However, I also want to say I liked it more than I thought it would, and it kind of exceeded my expectations, to be honest, because the story felt so massive, and at the same time, however, if like the film was structured in such a way to me where it's like you really feel as if it's going to end, but then it's like, nope, we still have more. And I'm watching the movie, and I'm just like, oh man, we're about to get into some stuff. And my dad and I are like, okay, I think we should get our next slice of pizza. And we're like, yep, let's get our next slice. We start it, and we're like, wait, we're only an hour in? This is, what? And it's weird because it's like, I felt like we were getting into that next chapter. It felt like a book almost, where it's like, you actually can tell where almost each chapter or each act is, and how they ended.
Yeah.
And a part of me, I was a bit torn on that, but I kind of liked it mainly because it felt distinct. Almost each area felt distinct and felt unique to what they were trying to go for. And to be honest, I actually wish I saw this in theaters. This was just
Same.
This was so much fun. The drama elements I thought were there enough to kind of give you a sense. However, I do think if this was an episodic series, I think there could have been more to some of the drama elements, or at least they could have maybe either spaced or delved a bit more into either a mixture of flashbacks for certain characters, because they introduce characters that you're like, okay, why are they part of it? This is interesting enough, but however, it's like they either quickly go to another character or they kill that character off, and you don't really get a lot of connection with it, with whichever character. But I do think overall, whatever cast they focus on really well, to the point where it's like, to me, I'm like, I really wish I knew more, or it's like they each had a distinct characteristic and feature set that made me as a viewer be like, I understand you, I get you, or at least I can start theorizing in my own head, to the point where it's like, I'm kind of happy sometimes they didn't tell me or they didn't show me. I do think some of the tonalities of the film is a bit inconsistent, because I think they rely on comedy a bit too much in certain areas, and at the same time, when something should feel tense, to a certain degree, there was only one scene where I kind of felt this, where it was a bit abrupt. It was supposed to be a tense moment. It was a really tense moment, but then you have the comic relief character just be what they're supposed to be.
Comic relief character.
Yeah, and so, but again, I had so much fun. I thought this was better than I expected, honestly, in a lot of aspects. And just considering this is the director from the Lego Batman movie, and he comes to this, I'm WB, you better make that Nightwing movie. He needs to do it now. I'm in. But yeah.
It's funny because, like, I'm in a lot of ways in the same boat as you. because this movie was so much better than I thought it was going to be. I loved the central concept, or really concepts, because there are a lot of things in this story that make me nervous about happening in real life. Like, like a draft being, being put in place, and making people go to fight a war. Aliens coming down that are that want to eat us. Now you put both those things together, and we have to fight them. You're looking at the extinction, pretty much humanity on the brink of extinction. All those sort of things kind of scare the shit out of me, and this movie made it feel pretty real.
Yeah.
The story went into a lot of certain directions that, again, I didn't expect, but still really enjoyed. There's a theme of redemption in this movie that I thought was really good. Again, another thing I did not expect to get out of something like this. And I think one of the things that makes this movie, even though this is a long movie, it makes it feel this movie shorter than it is. And that's there's a lot of really suspenseful and scary scenes throughout the movie. And I thought there was going to be kind of a run-the-mill, kind of sci-fi action, but no, this feels this is really intense at certain points, and they did that really, really well.
Yeah, for me, again, my expectation was I'm going to get a dumb, fun sci-fi action film. I got more than that. It's I got, to a certain degree, I got that, but then at the same time, I got way more than I initially thought. And even though I got more, I appreciated what they gave me, because it's this is just so, to me, I thought it was really well done. And even them explaining time travel, at least how time travel exists in this universe, in this film, I thought they did it pretty simply. Well done, straight to the point. You even have a character questioning, why didn't you do this? They actually gave an answer, and it's it knew its own rules, and they actually didn't really break it compared to my opinion, the MCU time travel, where I think they're just breaking that all over the place, and it doesn't make sense and it's inconsistent. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I thought it was better than I expected. Both my dad and I were like, wow, this is a really good movie. We didn't expect it to be this good.
Another thing that makes this movie so strong, again, the drama and the emotion really are there. I got a lot more of that than I thought it was going to, and it ended up being much more satisfying and impactful than I thought it was going to. And again, I think that's in large part to Chris Pratt. Performances across the board were solid. They were definitely convincing in the moment, even though I didn't really see them as their characters. I still believe the emotions they were trying to emote. But Chris Pratt, I think he's the anchor of this movie. He did such a great job. He's really solid. He's a great action star, and I got to give props to him.
Oh yeah, for sure.
He never disappoints.
Chris Pratt was great. I thought everyone was great, and it's funny because as I'm watching this, I theorized one thing of I knew who this person was, and I was correct in that, and so I did find it a bit predictable in certain areas, but again, that predictability where it's I can predict this, again, it should be the end. Nope, we still have more, and this is where I was like, okay, wait a second. 45 minutes left? What else are they gonna do?
Yeah, exactly. I hit the pause button to see how much time I had left. I'm like, wait, there's still a half an hour left? This kind of feels like it ended. I mean, but I guess not. But again, even the direction, even where they go at that last act in the movie or whatever you want to call it, that was still great too. And all of these different distinct quote chapters in the story, I think that's the word that you use, they all feel essential because this movie, obviously it covers a lot of ground, and everything that it showed us felt necessary, which is weird because there are times where I felt like maybe it could have been a little bit shorter, even though I don't know exactly what I'd cut out, but this still felt very much worth the time. So this is a 2 hour and 20-minute movie, and it was worth it. It was worth the time that I spent watching it. And this is on Amazon Prime, and this, honestly, like we were both saying, this probably would have been a great theater experience.
I think it, again, as I'm watching it, I'm there are certain shots, especially in, I guess, towards the end, I don't want to spoil, but there was one shot that I was like, oh man, I want to see this in the theater. I was like, oh, this is glorious and beautiful. And so, man, I liked it more than I thought. It gave me more. Chris McKay, awesome. That Nightwing movie better happen. But yeah, I definitely would recommend this for sci-fi lovers, for action lovers, Chris Pratt lovers, of course.
Yes,
and just
obviously.
And the thing is, it's I got a mixture of a bit of Alien, Predator, almost the really noticeable sci-fi franchise that we all know, but they still made it unique and distinct for its own project and product. And I think the creature design is also fantastic because not only they
Scary.
looked
Really
menacing,
good.
how they moved, and you actually see that they have a certain level of intellect to the level of strategizing against the humans. I was like, oh man, I'm in for a treat.
Yep.
So I really enjoyed this movie.
Same here. Again, for all you guys that are still with us, you gotta have some thoughts on the Tomorrow War. And if you haven't seen it yet, I think you definitely should. And just out of curiosity, based on what you said, or even if you have watched it, would you have seen it in the theaters? Again, you know what to do with those thoughts. Put them wherever you can. Comment section, social media, YouTube, wherever. And that's pretty much the end of the show for today. And again, tune in next week for our review of Black Widow, which comes out in theaters on July 9th. And starting next week, we'll be launching our episodes Mondays at 5 instead of noon. And again, this will go on for like the next couple of weeks or so. And as per usual, don't forget to like, follow, share, subscribe, and hit the bell to get all notifications, whether you're on Google Podcasts, Listen Notes, the Podcast Index, Stitcher, and so much more. And those social media pages that are in the description, they're there for a reason. I'm going to let you figure out as far as what you're supposed to do. And just like that, we'll see you next week.